Hello Stampers, how are you today? I am coming to you with this fabulous easel card. We made this card, see it stands up like that. When you open it, happy birthday. This is great for your nature lover, camper, could be for a guy or a girl. A lot of natural elements to this card that just really make it special. We actually made this card in our Stamp-A-Stack class. So if you're joining me from that class, welcome. Members of that class got all the pieces to make this card, and we made it together. And if you didn't get a chance to make it with us or to finish your cards, this is the video for you. I'm going to show you how to assemble it. And for those of you who are joining after the fact, I've got all the measurements so you can cut your own pieces to make this card. So my name is Linda Edwards. I'm with Crafty Heron Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. If you see anything here that you would like to have, I can certainly take care of that for you if you do not have your own demonstrator. I would love to help you out. So let's get started. So the pieces we need, the stamp set, we're using the Campology stamp set. We're using the Bark 3D folder. And we're using the Biggest Wish photopolymer stamp set. All of those today. And I'm going to show you how to use the Stamparatus to stamp this really cool tree to get all the different colors and layers in it. So in order to make this card, these are the pieces that you need. Your card base is cut 11 by 4 1/4, and then it is scored at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2 inches on the long side. The next layer is cut 9 inches by 3 1/2 inches, and it is scored in half, and that's at 4 1/2. Then for the inside layer, we have 2 pieces. It's 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then this is a piece of the Designer Series paper, and it is cut 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 as well. So both of those pieces, a basic white and your Designer Series paper, are cut 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I can't think right now what this Designer Series paper is from. It's the one that's got all the natural elements. And then what I did, I already embossed that with the Bark 3D embossing folder. So in order to save time, I'm not going to show you that. I pre-did that. I don't like these videos to be too long. So those 2 pieces there. Then we have a piece of basic white that is cut 4 inches by 2 3/4, or you can use the closest rectangle die. So if you have the kit, I already die cut that for you, and that is for the outside of the card. And then there is a piece that is 4 inches by 2 1/2 inches. This is with the beautiful Friendship Suite paper. Isn't that pretty? Those trees got a great natural element. That's 4 inches by 2 1/2 inches. And then from that same Designer Series paper, this one is 4 inches by 1 1/8 inch. And that 1 1/8 is really fluid. It needs to be 4 inches wide, but this paper comes in, these trees are kind of in a strip. And so just do a width that makes sense for where the trees kind of land. And then I have the linen thread. It's about 21 inches long. So a piece of linen thread, and of course an envelope. So in order to get started, we will go ahead. Let's start with the stamping, because that's kind of the most interesting part, I think, of this card. And I'm sorry about the glare from those lights. I am using my Stamparatus, and as you can see, oops, I have something else under here that I'm going to get rid of. So Stamparatus, I lined this up so that it was all set. Now, if you were at class, hopefully you did go ahead and stamp your image already. If not, well, then you can use the Campology stamp set, or we have quite a few different stamp sets that have the trees in them. So use whatever works for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp with the Pear Pizzazz ink, and I'm going to just go ahead and stamp all over on the ink pad. And I do like to use the small Stampin' spots on the Stamparatus. It just keeps the ink from going all over, but it's not necessary. You could certainly use whatever you have. And of course, the beauty with the Stamparatus is you get multiple tries. So there's the first try. Oh, I think that actually went very well. It's nice. I've got good coverage. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off my stamp using the chamois to clean it off. Oh, I have a little too much water on there, so I'm going to get some paper towels. I just wet and cleaned this chamois, so it's a little juicy. I don't want too much of that water to get all over my card base, so I'm going to clean some of that up. Okay, see, good thing it's green. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with Bumblebee, and you can either use, you know, the Stampin' Spot or your ink pad, but I'm using a sponge dauber, and I am going to add some ink as if the sunlight is shining through the trees, right? I'm just going to add a little bit of ink to the center of those trees. And there we go. Okay, so I'm kind of watching. There's definitely some light coming through, but I'd like it to be a little bit brighter. So I'm going to add some more. So this is, you know, multi-step stamping. The beauty of this is that because I'm using the Stamparatus, I know it's always going to be in one spot. So I can do many layers. There we go. That's a little bit better. It shows a little bit more light coming through. And now I am going to come back with my Stampin' Spot, and I'm just, see how I'm just kind of doing the edges, because I want those edges of the trees to be a little bit darker than the middle. So I'm just stamping around where I want to show some highlights. All right, let's see here. There we go. Okay, good. See, you can see how it's a little bit darker, how there's just adds a lot of dimension to the image. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do, and this does not have to be done in the Stamparatus, I'm going to make my sun. I'm going to take this magnet off, and again, I'm just using my sponge dauber, and I'm going to create a sunshine right there. Hold it a little, give it a chance to absorb, and without re-inking, I'm just going to now kind of very lightly sponge around in a circle, and I'm just kind of trying to create that little halo, that glow around the sun to give it a little bit of, you know, kind of an aura. And that's it. There you go. Hope you like that. All right, let's get this out of the way. And now we will stamp the inside of my card. So here's the inside, this white piece for the inside. Now this is a photopolymer stamp. So I do like to use the Stampin' Pierce mat for it, especially because this particular stamp has a lot of color in it. It's really bright. So I'm going to use Old Olive for the birthday, and make sure that it's upright. I can look through, I can see, looks like I've got some good coverage, and because it's photopolymer, I can see to line it all up. There's my birthday. I think that is too dark because you know what? That, you're not going to be able to see the brown through it. But that's the beauty of every paper has two sides. So I'm going to redo that with Pear Pizzazz. Don't know why that Mossy Meadow was even in my my stack here, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and use the Pear Pizzazz. It's a lighter color. Because the Happy, I want to use the Early Espresso because the background cardstock is Early Espresso, and I was afraid the other one wouldn't really show. There we go. And it will actually lighten up a little bit over time. So now I can take the Early Espresso and take my Happy, and I think I'm gonna go a little bit on an angle with it just to have some fun. There we go, happy birthday. You see how if I had done, I think it would have been too dark with the Old Olive. I like it with a little bit of the lighter green. Probably would have worked okay, but not to worry. Okay, and one last bit of stamping. So those two are done. I'm using the tent from Campology, and it also comes with binoculars, and it's got a lantern and like a coffee pot. So, you know, you can do whatever you like. I'm tempted. Should I do binoculars? No, I'm gonna leave the tent. I'm just gonna leave the tent. There we go, and that's on my envelope. And I forgot to tell you, there was one scrap you need of white, to whisper white, and that is for the front. And I'm gonna go ahead and stamp that, and it doesn't matter if it's straight or not because we're gonna cut it out. We're gonna die cut it with the circle die. And you will see that it won't quite, you know, the whole thing doesn't fit. That's not a problem. So that's why it really didn't matter if it was really, really centered or not. So I'm gonna go and go to the die cutting machine and cut that out. Just take me a minute. Should I have this done for you? All right, there we go. All right, so if you got the kit, your circle's already been cut out for you. So now, let's see, have I got all my stamping done? I do. Let's get to assembling our card. So I can show you the trick for the easel part. So the first piece, this is the card base. Take your card base and fold it in half, just like you would normally. Right, I'm gonna fold it in half. And this is coming from the, it's so funny, I've got to figure it out for myself this way. I had to think for a minute. It's been a little while since I made this. Okay, this is the way it's gonna go. So the larger part is the base, then this part is gonna come up like that. You see that, like a little Z fold. All right. And we'll go ahead and start with some of the designer series paper. So this is those green trees. I'm going to adhere that to the front flap. I just like to use liquid glue. It just gives me, I find it to be a little more forgiving. Go ahead and do that right there. And then this other piece is just gonna go right there. So you see why the 4 inches is important, but the precision on the height of it really doesn't really matter. If you're using this paper, just go ahead and do whatever makes sense to you so that you get that line of trees in there. And then I'm just making sure it's equidistant on these 3 sides. Okay, now we've got that other piece of Early Espresso, and I'm folding it in half using my bone folder. This is the piece that's gonna layer right here. we'll go ahead and line that up right now. And again, I'm just looking to see that it is equidistant from the tops to the sides. The bottom's not as critical, but I want it to open this way, all right? So I'm gonna put that one together. Again, just lining up the 3 sides like that. And then the inside is where I'm gonna put my happy birthday. That is gonna be lined up, and see, you won't even know that I made that mistake. Well, you will know, and I will know, but the recipient of this card will never know. Voila. Okay, and now the front, we have 2 layers. We've got this designer series paper, which looks like wood, and then we've got this stamped layer. Before you attach this down, I want you to get your trim, and we're gonna tie it around the page. And I'm gonna tie it around 3 times. Loosen it up a little bit, so I need a little bit more on this side. There we go. And what you can do is, oh boy, I went the wrong way. I need more on this side. There we go. You can use a glue dot, you know, put a glue dot around in the back. As a matter of fact, let me do that. I'm gonna just actually use a little bit of tape runner in the back. This is a nice little trick when you're using, assuming I can get it off, when you're attaching some ribbon. I'm just gonna do a little bit, and that'll just help it attach. All right, so I know I need about that much. There we go. All right, much easier. Goes around twice. It's being held nicely. And 21 inches gives you plenty of room to kind of play with it. And there we go. And then I'll trim those off at the end. All right, and then I'm just making sure that that's attached. And then I'm gonna just use liquid glue. Come on. Here we go. To attach to the designer series paper. And that's especially, liquid glue is especially important with this paper that's been embossed, because it has these ridges in it. So you want to make sure that the paper sticks all the way. And then I'm going to take the same liquid glue and run it. I can tell if that's coming out. There we go. Run it around. That pattern made it hard to see if it was really coming around. All right, there we go. Center it on the front of the page. So you see how that is there. All right, now I have a circle. So these are the layering circles dies. I cut 2 pieces, one in this early espresso, and then I stamped the one with the tent. And I'm gonna attach those 2 together. And then don't do anything else yet, because I'm gonna show you the easel part of this. All right, so we've got all of our pieces together. Let's see, let's trim that there. Ready? Look at that, we're almost done. Okay, so what makes this an easel is this little piece here, right, is gonna sit there. So it's close over it. So I need to make sure I want one dimensional. It's gonna be on the bottom of this easel because I want that other piece to have room to kind of sit behind it. All right. So I'm going to open that up. I know this needs to be really low on the page. And then when I do that, it stands up. I know I can't, it's hard for you to see that because of the angle of the camera. But you see how it sits down there? It's got enough room to sit and then it'll stand up. So it really, really makes a nice presentation. And then of course you've got your little happy mail when you send it in the mail. You won't have any trouble sending it. There's only one layer of dimensionals, really only one dimensional on this. And I think any recipient would be happy to receive this for their birthday. There you go. I hope you like it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It helps other people find me. And I am here on Facebook and YouTube and do videos on a regular basis when I find cards that I think I can teach you something new. So hopefully the Stamparatus was something new for you, using it multiple ways on a stamp, using multiple ink, and the easel card as well. So have a great day, and I will see you again soon. Ta-ta.